What's up, everybody? It's your girl, Nicole Banister, aka NIKKI BANZ, coming to you live from Los Angeles, California. Today, I'm interviewing Martina Fuchs right here on NIKKI BANZ Live! What up, what up, what up, what up, everybody? What an absolute pleasure to see you all here today. This is NIKKI BANZ Live, your favorite Tuesday interview series where I am bringing you exclusive conversations with some of the most interesting, the most dynamic, the most talented people from around the world. Every single week, I am interviewing a different guest from a different country, and today is no exception. My guest today is the one and only Martina Fuchs, who is an absolutely incredible journalist, TV anchor, MC and moderator, and a polyglot who speaks 9 languages. And I'm not talking about similar languages like French and Spanish and Portuguese. No, I'm talking about Swahili. I'm talking about Mandarin Chinese. I'm talking about Arabic. I'm talking about German. Absolutely radically different languages from different parts of the world. Martina speaks all these languages, and they're some of the most critical languages in the world. So I cannot wait to talk to her all about that. I see Martina is in the building. Hello, Martina. I will get you on very, very soon. Shout out to everybody else who's here today. TEDx Cape Town in the building. Patty Nicholas in the building. We've got Dr. Socrates here. We've got Awad here. Anesu. Hi, Anesu. Good to see you. I see Mama and Papa Bands are in the building. I see we got Tux in the building. Well, hello there. Lolo Bell, Terry Godsi. Wow, the family's here. Hello, everyone. It is amazing to see all of you. We've got EJ in the building. Oh my goodness. Hi, everyone. Thank you all for being here as part of NIKKI BANZ Live. Let's get it. All right, everybody, as you know, I've been in Los Angeles, California for the past couple of months with a little Euro trip in between, and I have to say I'm absolutely loving it here in LA. Part of my practice, part of my morning routine here in Los Angeles has been that every morning I am waking up and doing a long walk across LA, and it's just been so lovely to be able to walk around the neighborhood, walk outside, get the fresh air. For some reason, I'm waking up hella early, okay? I'm waking up at like 6:30 in the morning every day, and when I wake up at 6:30 in the morning, I'm like, well, what should I do? I'm like, you know what? Let me just get up, get out of bed, and walk. It's like 6:30 is right about when the sun is like full blast. In my windows here at my parents' place, and I've just been taking the most gorgeous walks, reflecting and thinking and walking for about an hour and a half. And it's been such a vibe. If you guys have any morning practices that you like, whether it's journaling, walking, exercising, doing something, meditating, tell me in the comments. I want to know what is part of your morning practice, like what gets you going, what gets you in the zone. You know, I oftentimes find that people who are really talented and really successful have these different routines that they have adopted and incorporated into their life. And part of my time here in LA has been incorporating that kind of practice. So it's been so lovely to do that, especially because you can't always just get up and walk everywhere in Cape Town, okay? My Cape Town people know what I'm talking about there, okay? Also, it's winter, so it would be like at 8 o'clock in the morning when the sun was finally up. All right, everybody. I see we have Charles in the building. The love of my life. Hi, Charles. Glad you're here. I see Chrissy Ann Sway is here, a massive supporter of NIKKI BANZ Live. Hello there. I see we also have Cheska in the building, an incredible content creator and pilot from the Philippines who's also been a guest here on NIKKI BANZ Live. Shout out to Cheska. Good to see you. I see Chrissy's checking in from New York City. We got NYC in the building, Cape Town in the building. So many dynamic places. Yes, Cheska, I will see you later. All right, everybody. I don't want to waste any more time because I have got to get Martina on to talk to all of you. She's going to share some super interesting stories. And as someone who is normally doing the interviewing, it's going to be fun for me to interview her for once. Normally, she's the one interviewing everybody else. Heads of state, at conferences, content creators. She's working with some of the biggest names in the world. And I get to interview her today, put her on the spot with the questions. So let's get it started. Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready? This is NIKKI BANZ Live on Tuesday. Follow me on Instagram at They Call Me Bands. Subscribe to my YouTube channel, youtube.com/@ Nicole Banister, aka NIKKI BANZ. Today I'm interviewing Martina Fuchs. Let's get it started! Yes! Here we go, y'all. Ready! Ah, so ready. Hello!
To see you. I'm so excited to be on your show. Hi.
Hello.
Sit on the other side, as you mentioned, to be interviewed and not be interviewing you.
Exactly. For once, you get to just sit there and answer questions about your life instead of having to be the one thinking of all the questions, researching the guests. Is it a nice break?
I'm in London right now, and I saw on your Instagram that you were here in the UK recently and had the best time of your life after many years. So hopefully you can come back again soon as well.
I know. I hope so. Yeah, it had been like 20 years since I was last in London, and I finally visited and saw a bunch of friends who live there, and it's just so much fun.
Absolutely. It's great to have you and also to see your journey. I mean, I love your podcast, your IG lives, your YouTube channel. So really taking off since we met at Now Summit in Dubai.
Yes.
Wow.
Exactly. And Martina, you took the words right out of my mouth. We met at the NAS Summit in Dubai, I think the first summit. So that was like a year and a half ago. I saw you again at the 1 billion follower summit in Dubai, where you were on stage interviewing one of the top YouTubers in the world who happened to be 8 years old, which was too funny.
That was like the most difficult interview of my life.
Yeah.
It was like, the 9-year-old kid who has 350 million subscribers on YouTube and across all social media platforms. And I was really nervous because I thought, well, you can't control the kid, of course. She could be running away, she could be scared, anything could happen, right? But she was absolutely professional, and actually we stayed in touch. We're quite close friends now, I would say. I took her to a chocolate factory in Switzerland the other week, Ladrach, where I'm a brand ambassador. She had chocolate tasting sessions with the world's chocolate master, Elias Ladrach. Wow. With her own like Nastia chocolate. So it was absolutely amazing. And you never know afterwards that you're into guest and relationship. It's always super important to stay in touch, of course.
Exactly. And that's one of the things I love most about having this show and also being a presenter, because you just get to talk to the most dynamic people, the most interesting people, and you get to learn more about their story, their background, their conversation, and you never know where it's going to go from there, right? It's an interview today, and in a month, we're co-hosting a conference somewhere. In a year, we've got a TV show together. You just never know where these relationships will take you.
Absolutely. And Nikki, when you build relationships, of course, you have a community afterwards. It's exactly what you are doing now as well, with people from South Africa and New York and all around the globe joining us. But then really, I try to think about these guests afterwards. How can I create a social impact with them? How can I include them in my network? How can we work together to start a project in Zanzibar, or do something with music? As you see, I have my DJ equipment now. I want to become as a hobby. So you just try to build this, I call it a spider web, and you just create all these amazing communities with people around the world, and always try to give opportunities as well, especially to the next generation.
Exactly. And I love so much that you said that, Martina, because I think, when you're someone who is a public figure, when you are someone who has access to so many different people, so many different events and conferences around the world, the types of relationships that you form with those people, the types of social impact that you then try to invest back into those communities, back into those countries where you're working is so important. And I oftentimes find with journalists in particular, the days of being impartial are over, right? People are people stand for something, whether they're a journalist or a reporter or whatever they are. And so I'm curious, Martina, what is your why? What is the thing that is the common thread, the thing connecting the dots across all of the reporting and the presenting that you do?
If I have to now, it would be curiosity, right? You have to be a curious mind. You want to go out there. I started traveling coming from Switzerland, Zurich. I was, growing up in a very protected environment, very stable, very boring, as some of you know sometimes. And I just wanted to break out. I wanted to discover the wide world out there. So I packed my bags when I was really young, a young girl, not even an adult yet. I went to Tanzania. I worked there in a nursery school, and then I continued my travels around the world in the Middle East. I spent time in Yemen. I studied in Egypt. Then my career took me to London for a year. That's when I fell in love with the city here. I used to work for Thomson Reuters as a journalist, and then they sent me to Dubai to work as an Economy Correspondent and a TV producer. And from there, I went to China, to Beijing, to work for CCTV, the state-owned broadcaster. So I was always very open-minded, interested in cultures, languages. So I studied quite a few, as you mentioned. And the goal with that is really to try to make this place a better world. So really, with this curious mind in your bag, you just want to create awareness about also underreported stories. So I was, reporting from the garbage piles in Cairo, for example, or from the refugee camps in Sudan, or from a weapons market in Yemen, and really trying not just to focus on the big crisis, the big breaking stories, but also raising awareness about all of these issues in forgotten places as well.
It's incredible that curiosity has taken you as far as it has. Like you mentioned, all of these different places where you've worked, all of the different places where you've been able to expand your brand and what you do, and also being able to tell, authentic stories. And I think, curiosity is something that can take many people many places, but it's even harder to then be curious, go to those new places as someone who's not from there, someone coming from Switzerland, coming into these environments and actually tell stories with integrity, actually tell stories, of local people, and amplifying those stories in a way that sort of celebrates them and showcases them with respect. How do you do that, Martina? How do you make sure that, we're not taking other people's stories and, showcasing them in a negative light, but really sharing the beautiful and positive elements, even in maybe some more desperate or tragic situations?
You mentioned something really important. I don't try to focus on the negativity, because there is negative news out there, but really on the positive stories and what can bring people and countries together. So I'm very blessed coming from Switzerland that I have a Swiss passport, and I can literally travel anywhere. Even I was in Iran, I'm planning to go to North Korea, and I have this privilege. So I really want to give back to society and give forward to the next generation. This is really important. Maybe also a sense and feeling of guilt. How am I privileged to grow up in an amazing country, having almost everything? And then also Switzerland is a country that you will know speaks 4 national languages. So my mother tongue is Swiss German, which is a dialect of German. But in the south, we speak Italian. In the western part around Xinhua, Lausanne, Fribourg, we speak French. And then we also have another language in the mountains, which is called Romansh. So having this already polyglot setup and mindset really helped me to become like a chameleon. So I see myself as a chameleon, with different colors. There you go to different environments, and you just have to change and adapt, and really learn the local cultures, the customs, and also as a journalist, as a reporter, you need to learn the languages. And we speak so many languages, including data languages and music languages and like that. But I really feel and care very strongly about learning the languages of each country where you live, because only then can you really understand the people, and also this cognitive empathy, like putting yourself into the feet of and the shoes of the other people. And I do not believe that any time technology will be able to replace the human language. And the passion of learning languages. Even Google Translate and AI translators and ChatGPT and natural language processing won't be able to replace that.
I hear you. And I love that you mentioned empathy, because I think if you're going to be someone who goes into diverse cultures and environments and countries, you have to come at it with that curiosity, but also with empathy, with a wanting to learn these people's cultures, languages, backgrounds, religions, and understand their lived experiences. And I think language is such a beautiful way of doing that. And learning language, to me, is perhaps one of the absolute best ways to integrate into a new community. And obviously, I think many of us know this quote from Nelson Mandela, the president of South Africa, who says, when you speak to a man in a language that he knows, you're speaking to his head. But when you speak to a man in his language, you're speaking to his heart. And I've mentioned that here before on this show, on NIKKI BANZ Live, but it's so critical, because when you can speak someone's language, even if you just try little things like the greetings and things like that, you build that empathy with people who are very different from you.
Exactly, and people think that you understand them, you're basically on the same page. And of course, some of these languages are the most difficult in the world, like Mandarin Chinese with 4 different tone levels, like 30,000 characters, Arabic writing and reading from right to left, and but it's a challenge, and life would be so boring without challenges and really door openers, and not and job perspective, but just as a passionate and caring human being on this planet, we want to connect, and this is really the very basic of our human being as well. And then it's fun as well, learning different languages. In front of the screen every day, you use different brain cells, of course, and yeah, traveling is still the best thing in the world, isn't it?
Yes, it totally is. I try and be in a different country every single month as I can, if I can be. And like you mentioned, your Swiss passport, which allows you tremendous passport privilege. I have an American passport, which also allows me incredible privilege to be able to see the world and travel the world in a way that even my Nigerian partner can't do, for example. So I feel like I have a responsibility to go to places and showcase these places to people who can't travel with the same ease that I have.
Well, right, because so many people, they have a perception of what life is like in Rwanda, for example, one of the most amazing countries I've ever been to, and the fastest growing African economy as well, or Djibouti, another one of my favorite places in the world. What's next on your bucket list, Nikki? Where do you want to travel next?
That's such a good question. Next on my bucket list, I mean, I don't know if it's going to happen next, but at some point I absolutely want to get to Iran. As you know, I'm half Iranian, and so I went once when I was very, very young, but obviously I don't have to tell you about US-Iran relations at the moment. It's going to be very difficult for me to go to Iran anytime soon, and obviously there's a revolution happening in Iran at the moment where women are fighting for their rights and fighting for their freedom of speech. So Iran is definitely on the list at some point, something that's maybe more realistic. Where else do I want to go soon?
Going global now, right? They're like on a world tour hitting Mongolia next. So I think we should just jump on a plane and follow them as well. So
I know.
I feel it's too big. If Europe was the world, or if Latin America was the world, I would be happy, because we could definitely visit every country in the world. So it's a little bit of a dilemma, but I calculated if I visit 3 or 4 new countries, hopefully, inshallah, we say in Arabic, I reach the age of like 80, 85, then I would have seen the whole world, of course, fragments. So, yeah, that is to visit every country in the world. So this year, the new countries are Slovenia, Slovakia, Saudi, and maybe another one. So we'll see.
Oh, that's incredible.
I love your sound effects.
I also love them so much. They just add such a little like.
That's now behind me.
Exactly. You have to incorporate those into your DJ sets. And Martina, I want to go back to one of the things that you just mentioned. You said life would be boring without challenges. And I love that you said that because that is such a specific mindset to have. And that is certainly not the mindset that everybody has out there. You said life would be boring without challenges. You are embracing the challenges. You are embracing the difficulties. You are embracing the things that are not sort of clear and easy. And I love that you said that. How did you develop that mindset? Because, you know, the thing is, that's not the most common thing you're going to hear all the time. So for people who are maybe also struggling with some challenges right now, who need to see it in a different light, what would you say to them? How do you reshape challenges in your mind so that you move through them, you know, gracefully and seamlessly?
I hate routine. Even though I just posted something on my social media today about my morning routine, and
yes,
you mentioned at the start of the show, like I do have my first 1 or 2 hours in the morning, which is total routine, and every day the same. So I get up at 6 o'clock or outdoors, listening to Sky News Arabia in Arabic news, that I keep my Arabic language level. Then I study Chinese for 20-30 minutes, and then I DJ for 15 minutes. So this is just to set me up for the day. But the rest of my 24 hours or the rest of my life, I just do not like a comfort zone. So I've always been like that since I was a young child, because everything was way too comfortable for me in Switzerland. People in Switzerland think I'm crazy, like why would he and why would he work for the Chinese state broadcaster? And on that note also, of course, it's very exotic. It's also not easy and sometimes risky to work, you know, for many different projects, many different mandates, including one of them being a business journalist for the Chinese news agency. But I report on everything but politics. So I cover business news, financial news. I do high-level interviews, as you mentioned. I cover culture and sports and climate change, sustainability, everything that brings people together and doesn't tear them. So I still believe that the world and human beings are 95% good people, good human beings, and we just have to focus on that, because only this can bring the world forward.
I hear you, and I think that reporting on so many other elements, right, whether it be business, culture, happenings, events, things like that, right, at the end of the day, a society's culture, the way people think, what people do, that all then informs governments and policy and things like that. So if we can create a platform, if we can create a sociocultural environment where people feel like their brand new ideas are being heard and shared, where people are doing interesting things and meeting different people, then actually, you know, whether or not you're actually sort of formally reporting on politics, all of that then feeds into the way, hopefully the way that governments make their decisions and have international relations with one another as well.
Exactly, because as you mentioned, it's about international relations. It's not about decoupling and war and geopolitics. Of course, that is the situation right now, but we would go backwards if we were focusing on that. And I just believe that as journalists also, we have bigger responsibilities, and I'm really glad to see the next generation, which is just taking nothing for granted and is fighting, and it's also really questioning and criticizing so many things that the old generation was doing. And, you know, we can't talk about CSR, we can't talk about sustainability reports. I mean, all of these things have to be given and taken for granted already. So I trust and believe that the next generation will do their, you know, fair part and really change the world for the better. So I'm very optimistic as well.
I am too. I think that's what initially attracted me to you and drew me to you when we met in Dubai, you know, because I think people who tell stories and people who tell stories in so many different country contexts really have a zest for life, really have an interest in bringing people together in a way that your average person doesn't. And I'm so curious, Martina, you know, because a lot of people, like I said, a lot of people might want to tell stories, or they might be interested in moving in a similar path that you did, being a journalist, being a presenter. I'm curious what advice you would have for people who want to tell stories that are diverse, tell stories that are dynamic and international. Do you have any tips or thoughts on how people should do that? Should they go and work for a big news agency the way that you did? Should they have an Instagram live show? What should people do who want to share stories across the world?
Nikki, and I always say that people can really reach out to Open Door. I'm available on LinkedIn, Instagram for tips. I love giving advice. I am also a mentor at the Schwarzman Scholars Program in Beijing at the very famous Xinhua University, and I try to help wherever I can with opportunities and ideas. So on your question, I studied international relations, Arabic and Portuguese in Geneva, in Switzerland. And then in a second degree, I studied television journalism at the American University in Cairo. Because back then, you still had to do media training, or you went to J school to become a journalist. It was, you know, the times of the correspondent, the foreign correspondent, really, you know, exotic with the notepad and stuff. And then learned how to shoot on cameras. We had 3D tapes and the tripod and everything. So that was back in the days. But I really would advise the young people who want to become journalists not to go to university to study journalism anymore, because we're all journalists. You are a journalist. People on LinkedIn are reporters. Right? We all maybe report on our daily lives, but we also share news. So I wouldn't waste my time. You can, of course, do some special degree program or special courses just to refine and fine-tune a little bit your skills. But I would say, and that was also just when I graduated from the Reuters trainee program here in London after 1 year, where they start to really hire not journalists, but experts. So build in a special area, whether it's public health and COVID and stuff, whether it's music or climate change, and then you can become a full-time journalist if you want and report for Bloomberg or the FT and so on, and really become an expert in your own field. And then you can also, of course, join different programs, like LinkedIn has an content accelerator program. There's so many different ways into the industry right now. But really the basics are having the passion, curiosity, learning languages, being open-minded, love traveling, despite all the interviews that we can do virtually now.
I'm so glad that you mentioned becoming an expert in something, because I think each of us is an expert in something, right? No matter what it is. I know my friend Dana is here on the live. Dana today, an award-winning filmmaker in Dubai, and she is an expert in making films and making videos, and she is now getting tapped to give speeches and give talks and host workshops and panels about being a filmmaker. And that's something that she can do on TV. That's something that she can do in a workshop. That's something she can do at a conference. And so sort of knowing what you're good at, knowing what your specific skill is, and then taking that to an agency, to a conference, to a newsroom. It's really incredible to see how people can do such radically different and diverse things and showcase that to the world and on a global scale.
And really discourage, you know, to break stereotypes and go beyond borders. That is really important. We are blessed, also the friend that you mentioned in Dubai, to have found our passion and our skills. It's not an easy way, but everybody has a talent in something. It's just about trial and error sometimes, you know. Me now trying DJing, probably I'm going to be a total failure, but I have nothing to lose. I'm not afraid of making mistakes or looking embarrassing as well, because we are all beginners in life in so many areas, and you just have nothing to lose. I'm just scared of probably also getting old, being 80 or 90 years old, and then you see many of those social media videos, right, where they interview old people, and then they say, "I wish I had."
Right.
I,
Right.
I have. I wish I would have. And I just do not want to be one of these people. Of course, you can't do everything. I try to pack as much as I can into my life without having a burnout. That's also very, important. Of course, mental health. So far, so good. And also thanks to the fact that I have many different projects. Working in the news industry, but then also in music with the Montreux Jazz Festival, where I'm on the board of directors for China, with the Chinese pianist Lang Lang, with the chocolate company La Terrasse, so St. Gallen Symposium in Switzerland, and so on. So really diversifying. That you don't just focus on one thing, but you have a really healthy balance. And I look at it a little bit like a mosaic of different colors and pieces that you build your life and put all of them together.
Living a life of no regrets is so critical, Martina. It's so important that you mention that. People need to hear that. Not being afraid of making mistakes, being okay with trying new things, whether it is DJing or whatever it is. And I really encourage, everyone who's here on this live right now, or if you're watching the rerun on YouTube, like, tell us in the comments, what is your thing? What are you an expert at? What are you passionate about? What is the thing that you do best? Tell us, write it down, tell yourself. Write it in your journal, put it on a Post-it note, put it next to your phone or next to your laptop, because it's really important that we remind ourselves what we are good at, and it's like we have to tell ourselves that, because that is our superpower. That is the thing we can share with the world, and we can look at role models like you and say, okay, Martina is an expert in telling cross-cultural stories, and has this curiosity, has this passion, and you go and do that as a brand ambassador for a chocolatier in Switzerland, as on the board of all these youth organizations, as a consultant, as a world-renowned journalist and TV anchor, and you're able to know that you can do that and expand it into so many different places, and that's so important.
I love your questions and your take on life, Nikki, really. Also, I think it's not about ourselves, right? We're not divas. We don't do this to grow our business. We don't care how many people are listening to this IG Live, because every single person counts. And if you find your mission and vision in life, then you just have to go for it. If you can see it, you do it. It's all about envisioning yourself. And sometimes it's important, if you have a new hobby, let's say you want to open a restaurant, right? You tell your friends and your family, and you post it on social media. My DJ stuff, I posted it on social media. I was thinking, should I really do this? Because if I don't do it, it would be such a shame and people would make fun of me.
Mm-hmm.
But I do this because then there is no return. Then you have to go for it, because people know it. You put it out there, and you just have no excuse anymore, right? It really helps to put it out into the public, and then you have to hold yourself accountable, and there is just no excuse and no way back.
Exactly, Martina. I could not have said that any better myself. Honestly, social media is such a good accountability check, because when you put something out there, even if you only have 100 followers or 1,000 followers, if you put something out there, people are going to see it. I thought about earlier this year, I released a postcard collection because I love snail mail. I love writing. So I released these postcards, and I was like, do people even like postcards? Do people even know what the mail is anymore besides email? You know what I mean? And I was like, I don't know. Let me just put it out there and see what people think. And, after posting it on Instagram, within like 20 seconds, someone had already purchased one of my postcard collections. And it's like, okay, cool. Like, just do the things you love, do the things that you're good at, put it on social media so people hold you accountable, and use that as a way to continue to try new things and test new things and not be afraid of doing something that could be potentially scary.
The worst is really to set your own boundaries and borders. And somebody just mentioned in the chat that collective and personal accountability. It's really that, you do 50% yourself and 50% for the world and for your community. And this is really important. I once asked my late grandmother, what is the meaning of life?
Wow.
And she said, being useful. And it doesn't matter if you're just useful in your, building or in your community, or you try to bridge, between different cultures on a different dimension, but really being useful and helping the world in some way is really crucial.
I hear you. I hear you. And I'm so encouraged by your late grandmother's words. Be useful, be of service. Those are things that I think are really important. And especially as we go into a more digitalized world, being intentional about those things is a whole sort of extra added layer. And I think I want to talk about that a little bit because, we can sit here and talk about trying different things and learning many different languages. But honestly, Martina, what you do to be able to speak so many radically different languages, to be able to work with and represent so many really diverse clients, whether it's a Chinese state-owned news agency or a Swiss chocolatier or an incredible youth program for the arts, that takes tremendous amounts of discipline. And I don't want to disregard that because it really, it takes discipline to be able to do all those things, to travel the way that you do, to be able to study and practice and know who you're talking to that day, who you're reporting on. You've worked with some of the most important people in the world. You've interviewed heads of state. You've been to Davos at the World Economic Forum, right? You have reported at some really incredible sort of events. How do you maintain the discipline to always, be able to research who you're talking to, know your languages, know all those words, and then come out and actually be on camera and perform, to millions of people? How do you maintain that discipline?
Discipline is a fantastic word that you used, and it has always stuck in me since, remember that Gangstar song, Discipline, really important for me. And I think it's also a very Swiss characteristic to be disciplined and laser focused and very well organized. I once had a professor at the AUC in Cairo in Egypt, and he said, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. So I'm really well organized, right? I don't have a Microsoft Outlook calendar and things and that, Calendly and whatever. I just use my iPhone notes, the yellow ones, and write down every day what I have to do, the to-do list, 6 a.m., 8 a.m. And then I just take them off, and it makes you feel really good, but you also get your things done, and you learn how to be disciplined, and then also reward yourself. So you might take 1 hour afterwards to go for a walk. I'm here in London today, to Spitalfield Market, or to go shopping, do something nice, so that you're not always working. I mean, we love what we do, right? Sometimes a little bit too much, but also like maybe 1 day per week go hiking in the Swiss mountains. Nature is also, of course, a source of inspiration and a source of strength. So that's very, very, very important.
I want everyone, I'm gonna reiterate this for everyone who's watching right now, Martina. You said discipline is absolutely important, but you have to reward yourself too for being disciplined, for being organized, for doing the things that you said you wanted to do. And I just want, from my perspective, I'm going to share that I want everyone listening to that right now to remember that rewarding yourself is not selfish. It is not selfish for you to say, you know what, I worked really flipping hard today. I'm going to go for a walk for an hour and I'm not going to look at my phone. I just accomplished this amazing thing. I celebrated 1 year of hosting this show on Instagram. I'm going to have a party for all my friends. Like, you have to reward yourself.
Yes, absolutely. And I seriously love what you do, Nikki, like never give up. I love your interview skills, your techniques, how you rewind everything, how you put everything together. So just go for it. Sometimes, on that point, I notice and I realize at like 4 p.m. or 5 p.m. that I haven't eaten anything the whole day. Because you're working so hard, you're so disciplined, a little bit too much sometimes. And then, for example, I only have dinner really late at night, so it's not always very healthy. So you need to check yourself as well.
Absolutely.
Some other people, is this the right thing to do? What do you do? Can you help me? Also, never be scared of asking for help.
Such a really powerful reminder, and you just never know who's going to say yes when you do ask for help, whether it's asking for help, asking for an interview, asking for an informational interview where you're just talking to someone about their experiences, or simply saying to someone, hey, these are the types of jobs that I'm looking for. These are the types of roles that I'm looking for. If you hear of something, let me know. Being unafraid to share those things with the world and share those things with your close friends. Though, if you're able to say that to people, it will come back to you, right? It can never go wrong.
Never be scared. Always be courageous. Go out there. Sometimes I ask, the biggest CEOs and policymakers and music superstars the most stupid questions, but I always knew if I didn't grasp this 1 second, sometimes you just have literally 1 Swiss second, you will regret it for the rest of your life. You never know what kind of door opens. I was here in London on Saturday night. There was Talib Kweli, one of my favorite rappers in the world, and he was rushing out, and I was like, Talib, I know it means student in Arabic. Talib means student in Arabic, and Kweli is Swahili and means true or real. Talib. I was like, yeah, 1 second. And then he was rushing away, and I was like, yeah, I got a picture with Talib. So you just have to really be on spot and be very sometimes I catch myself daydreaming as well, what if I became this or did that, but then I realize I just have to do it. Just this Nike slogan is on the top of my head every single day, Nikki. Just do it. Why would you not? Of course, sometimes you have health limitations. You might be handicapped, hopefully not. You might have parents who are ill. You might not have the financial measures and means. But where there is a will, there is a way. I really strongly believe that in most cases. And you are your biggest obstacle. Just do it.
Just do it. Just go for it. Be present in the moment and capture that moment, and be unafraid to do it. That's, again, just such important reminders. And I saw something in the comments here from Ills OG saying you have to put the mask on yourself first, right? Self-care is a requirement, not an option. I love that reference there, because it's just so important. You have to put the mask on yourself when you're on the plane before you can put a mask on other people, and that's just so important. Martina, you mentioned having these moments with some of these really interesting people, having 1 Swiss second to ask a question or to say something. Tell us about one of the most funniest or most interesting moments that you were interviewing someone and got to ask them something interesting.
Whoa. Oh, there are so many episodes to remember. I couldn't even mention just one, but coming back, maybe rewinding a little bit to the beginning of our episode and our IG live here, we spoke about Nastia, the young girl, as one summit. And with 350 million subscribers across social media platforms, I was like, what will this young lady become in the future? And what does she really want? So I asked her, so little Nastia, what do you want to become when you're grown up, right? 30, 40-year-old Nastia, who do you want to be? And you know what she said? She wants to be a vet.
Yes.
Have a little shop somewhere. And I loved it. It was so surprising. thing. No ego, no diva status, just a young girl, and it reminded me we are all human beings in this world, and we just try to be happy at the end of the day.
Oh my gosh, Martina, I was in the audience in Dubai when she said that, and I almost like fell out of my chair laughing because, like you said, this is one of the biggest content creators in the world, 350 million subscribers, 8 years old, and she's like, yeah, I want to be a vet, you know, like, you know, people are like trying to pay people and pay teams to get that kind of reach and that kind of influence on social media. She's like, no, I just want to go help and save animals. You know, it was just such a humbling moment that, you know, like people are doing amazing things, but they're so dynamic. They can do other things too, and they can be very, very simple, very normal, everyday things.
At the end of the day, as you know, you just have to listen to your heart, to your inner voice, to your instinct, and just follow that, because you will maybe fall sometimes, but you get up again, but you are never disappointed by yourself if you really, really listen to your inner voice.
I agree completely. And I feel like this interview has been such a powerful reminder of that. Listen to your inner voice, listen to yourself, trust your gut, be disciplined, reward yourself, and remember that life is boring without challenges. I have so many takeaways from this interview, Martina, like I always do, but there were some powerful reminders I think like I and a lot of other people needed to just hear today.
At some point, we keep together.
Exactly. That might have to be in the future. I'm ready to be on a stage and us moderating a panel together at a conference. That is where I see the two of us collaborating very soon.
Total fire. I would love that. We have to make it happen, and we will just do it.
Exactly. We're going to do it. We're going to do it 100%. So the last question that I want to ask you, Martina, before I open it up to everyone who's here on the IG Live, we have about 15 minutes left of our live. So everybody, if you want to ask Martina any questions, I will ask all of your questions to her. If you look at the bottom of the screen to the right of the comment box, there's like a little thought bubble with a question mark in it. Please click on that, type any questions that you want. I will ask those during the last couple of minutes of the show. And remember, you can go ahead and follow Martina on Instagram. Go to the top of the screen. There's like a little white arrow at the top. And if you click on that, you can immediately go and follow me. Go and follow Martina. It's all right there. You won't leave the live. So make sure you follow to stay involved forever and ever. Again, seeing people in the chat, I'm saying, Koi Geek saying, wow, needed that reminder today. Thank you. I'm saying, Ills OG saying, enough jewels dropped to make a tennis bracelet, Queens. So I love that. People are just totally loving all of this wisdom.
Nikki, you have some of the best people here and just really good human beings. Love it.
I completely agree, and it's such a global, international crowd. People coming in from the U.S., from South Africa, from Nigeria, from Uzbekistan, from India. Just so incredible. Now we get to add Switzerland to the list.
I want to go to more places now. Packing my bag. Yeah. You always have an empty suitcase. You never know when and where you go next. That's very important.
It's so true. It's so true. So that is literally segueing into my next question for you, Martina. My final question here today before I throw it over to the amazing community that's here on this live. What is coming up next for you? What's on the horizon? Where will you be? What are you covering? Talk to us about some of the exciting things coming up these next couple of months for you.
Yes. So I will go back from London to Switzerland on Sunday. But then around mid-August, I'm going to travel to Ukraine.
Wow.
Another country I've not visited, and I actually haven't mentioned. But it's of course a war zone and a little bit crazy to go there. But I still believe that if you're careful, you know, and take the necessary security and safety measures, it's going to be fine. And I also strongly believe that anything can happen anywhere. You know, London at night, it starts on Thursday evening already, up until Monday morning is not the safest place as well. with alcohol consumption and the pubs and crazy people. So I will be reporting from Ukraine for the Chinese news agency on the grain stockpiles and the seeds and the crop they can't export to Africa and China, and inflation and so on. So I'm going to visit a few farmers and agricultural farms there for a couple of days. And project is going back to China in the fall. As I mentioned, I'm on the board of directors of the Montreux Jazz Festival. It's one of the legendary music festivals in the world, a little bit like Coachella, but different styles and different genres and different history. And it's very important to connect with music, you know, and build a bridge to China. So we're going to have a 4-day festival there. And yeah, just working hard and stay disciplined as well.
Wow, wow, wow. It sounds like you have so many inspiring and exciting trips coming up. You're heading over to Ukraine. I know that's going to be really difficult, not only just sort of physically moving around, but emotionally as well. So I just hope that you have an amazing time, in the sense that you meet some really inspiring people who are going to be able to really highlight the story of Ukraine and their people while you're there. Yes, and then heading back to China as well, this incredible jazz festival that you're a part of. That's going to be so exciting. I went to China once, but it was so long ago, maybe like 20 years ago in Beijing, and I feel like you re-inspired me to go visit again.
Yes, as you can imagine, China changes like every day. There is new development, there's new buildings, there's new everything with the innovation and development pace of the country. So I hope you can go back soon. And I just want to mention to the community here on IG Live and then also on YouTube that if there's anything that I can help you with, if you have any questions or you need advice in your life or in your career, please reach out to me.
Oh, I love it. I love it. You are just the absolute sweetest. Thank you, Martina. Let me go ahead and look at what some of the community has shared. We still have a couple minutes left here on today's IG Live, NIKKI BANZ Live, with the one and only Martina Fuchs. And I see we've got 2 questions in here. There's actually same question from 2 people. This question is coming from both of my good friends. I don't know if you know Martina on the ground with Sai. Sai is an incredible content creator out of India, who's also at the NAS Summit.
Yes, our good buddy. Hey, Sai.
Yes, so Sai and Dana, another amazing friend of mine, like I said, award-winning filmmaker out of Dubai. They're both asking, what are your networking tips? Because you obviously meet so many people in so many different environments, and you talked a lot at the beginning about actually building long-lasting relationships, which really for me, that is networking, right? It's really building long-lasting relationships. So any tips or any advice on how to do that at conferences, at summits, or at any of these interesting events that you find yourself at?
Fantastic question. I see it as a long-term relationship, and you always have to see the purpose. So why are you networking with this person? I'm not on LinkedIn and just connecting here and there without really knowing what the goal is and what kind of impact you want to make. I know we are on IG today and we're going to share the video on YouTube, but actually LinkedIn is the best networking tool.
Yes.
Quality, right? Unless, of course, you go to a party or a conference or an event where you can meet people face to face. But really, LinkedIn, because you can also generate a lot of business, a lot of partnerships, and usually people are very professional, and they are all there for this very specific purpose. And then also, I connect and network very often without any monetary or financial reason behind, because people see through you. It's very transparent and very obvious. If people come to you, they want to abuse you, they see your money, or they see that you're successful, they want to grab a piece of the cake. And we are not stupid, right? We can and also give all the time. Like I try really to open my network with my mentees in mentorship as well. Really share. Don't be egoistic. Don't put yourself first, but always your network, your community. Of course, as a self-made businesswoman, I also need to make an income. I need to, pay the bills at the end of the day. But for me, impact, network, people always come first, and money only second. So see through you, and will notice that as well.
Excellent tips there. I also use LinkedIn all the time to connect with people, even if I was just on a conference call with a couple of people. I don't even speak to everyone. I will take a screenshot of that. Remember every single person's name on Zoom. I will connect with them on LinkedIn. It was so great talking to you at that event. So great hearing your thoughts. I love the reminder to really be active and engaging on LinkedIn, and to not sort of move forward exclusively with money on the mind. You know, money will come if you build authentic relationships with people. If you come from the start and say, I'm looking for money or I'm looking for this, it's probably not going to work. So rather just build that authentic relationship first, and then see if it can transpire into some interesting collaboration or partnership. So thank you for that, Martina. And I think I saw one more question. This is a really interesting question also coming from Dana, and this is probably something that you're really, really good at, Martina, so I'm glad she asked. But Dana is asking, do you have any tips for approaching people that you are intimidated by at conferences? So if you see a super famous artist like Talib Kweli, or you see a head of state, or you see someone, you know, who you're maybe really awestruck by, how do you approach those people who you're a little bit intimidated by?
You know, I used to be starstruck in the past, probably with interviews and experiences and meetings. I'm just not impressed by fame, you know, and I'm also very straightforward. I believe that we all wash our hands with water. We're all human beings. Of course, I respect every human being. That is the basic, right? So you have to think about how you approach these people in a very respectful, in a very polite way, and also put, again, this cognitive empathy first. Like, is this person in stress? Does she have time? Is he, really sad at this point? And then you just change your tactic and your approach a little bit. But I'm not afraid or scared or really nervous by VIP people or celebrities, because they actually love talking to you. I was just with Maluma the other day.
Wow.
I met Lionel Richie, you know, John Baptiste, and we had the best conversation ever in Montreux on his hotel balcony after an interview. And they see these kind of conversations as well, because usually they're surrounded by managers and cooks and bodyguards and so on. They want to have normal human relationships. So I definitely am not afraid or nervous or scared to approach these heavyweights.
Well, I have to say, if I saw Maluma, I might be a little bit starstruck, but then I would probably calm down and still be able to have a normal conversation with him. So I love that approach, you know, just being like, actually, at the end of the day, we are all people. We all wash our hands with the same water. We all go to the bathroom in the same toilet, right? You know, like we are just normal people like everybody else is.
Without friends, without community, without others, we are just no one. So these people, whether you're or not, of course, have the same needs as well.
Thank you so much for that perspective, because we will absolutely, hopefully, all be in situations where we have an opportunity to approach someone who we might be a little bit intimidated by, and just remembering that we are all the same and we each bring something unique to the table is that confidence boost that we need to approach. So thank you for that, Martina, and thank you for being here on NIKKI BANZ Live. This has just been such a fun conversation.
It's the best time ever, Nikki. I wish you all the best with your show. This is just the beginning of everything. And if there's anything I can do to support you, the community, let me know anytime. But I can tell you will go places. You have amazing interview skills. Really professional. So you are a journalist as well, you see.
Thank you. I appreciate that so much. And coming from you, that truly means a lot. And I am so excited to collaborate with you again in the future. Like I said, when we met back at the NAS Summit, and we saw you again earlier this year, I was like, no, we need to make this happen. So I feel like this is just the beginning for us. And what the work that you're doing, the fact that you're able to incorporate your language skills into so many different places, so many different events and spaces, it's really so important as we move towards a more cohesive world, a more tolerant world, a more diverse world. The steps that you are taking to really learn people's languages and learn people's cultures and showcase them is really something that we need more of. So thank you for being a role model for me and for everybody else out there.
Thank you so much, Nikki. I can't wait to see you again soon. Anywhere in the world is possible.
Literally. I'm just gonna watch your Instagram and see where you are, and hopefully we'll just align and be in the same place one day.
I have no doubt. And thank you all for joining today.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Martina. Thank you, everybody. Make sure you are following Martina on Instagram. Go to the top of your screen, hit the little white arrow. Go follow Martina right now. Follow me on Instagram, and you can join me next Tuesday for another interview with another amazing guest right here on NIKKI BANZ Live. This has been me, Nicole Banister, interviewing the one and only Martina Fuchs. Thank you, Martina, and thank you, everyone. We'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.